So Todd, how can you increase leads in our space? You know, the HVAC industry seems to be, there's big guys, there's little guys. You know, they all have different budgets for marketing. How would you recommend, from your standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, how can an HVAC guy increase revenue?
Great question. And, you know, if we have the perfect answer, I don't ever have to work again for the rest of my life. Right? Just get you guys all the business and be set.
Yeah.
But the first step with any business is to understand the market. Okay? You know, sometimes business owners go into this abyss and they think there's a need for their product or service, which there is, which is why they went into business. But it's better when you know the metrics, right? So I know the research for 2024. I know that there will, based on research, 8% of the households in Florida, which boils down to about 665,000 households, will be looking for new HVAC in 2024. And we know how many by market. We know 25,000 in Tallahassee, in the Tallahassee market. We know 165,000 HVAC units in the Tampa Bay market. We know 144,000 units to be sold in the Orlando market in 2024. So you have to understand the market first. And then once you understand the market, then you have to decide how much of that do I want. And there is a mathematical formula that can tell you based on how much of that you want, how much do you have to spend, and how many leads that will generate, and then the closing ratio we keep kind of low so that we can kind of project a number of what you need. So understanding the market is first, figuring out how much of that you want, deciding what kind of budget we need to go after it. And remember, we talked about the internet, right? Part of that budget will have to be that cost of doing business, but you're going to have to leave money to conquest new customers. And that's what a good agency or a good advisor, or maybe even just this video series will do to help you get that.
Well, that's great. That's great. So this is a loaded question, bro. So just so you know.
Yeah, right?
There's got to be a formula to generate leads that's effective. You know, I know there's a lot of people or marketing companies out there that, you know, I don't care if you own a chiropractic business like my son does. Oh, I get you X amount of leads, whatever. What's the formula for success in generating leads?
It's the right message to the right person on the right day with an offer and a deadline. Right person, right message, right day with an offer and a deadline. And the deadline is fluid, right? So it doesn't have to be, you know, ends on October 30th, you know, at 12 noon. It could be ends next week, offer ends this month, you know, whatever it might be. But when you have an offer, which is extraordinarily important, and you have the deadline psychologically works on the viewer, the person who's taking in the message, and they hear the deadline. If they hear a really good offer, but they don't hear a deadline, it doesn't work. You know, and back to the right person, I mean, we have to know who's making decisions on buying the HVAC units. We have to give a message that they can understand and that's going to appeal to them, because we only have a few seconds to get their attention. And it's got to be on the right day. I mean, there's no one looking for fitness gyms and diets on a Friday night. We don't talk to them on Friday night.
Right.
We talk to them on Monday. The number one day for divorce lawyers is Monday, right? Because they have a bad weekend, and that's when they go, right? So, you know, only the HVAC vendor that we're speaking with can tell us what their best days and when they get their most calls. And what we want to do is to run the messaging on the days that they normally get their most leads. So a 10% increase out of your best day is better than a 10% increase out of your worst day, just mathematically, right? So Monday, Tuesday's your day. If Saturday's your day, whatever it is, we can build a marketing plan around that. We don't want to be on 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We want to have something out there, but we want to focus on your best days to the right demographic, the right psychographic profile. They own a home. You know, they might have lived there for a while. We can find them. They're not hard to find. Then it comes down to the message, right? And the message is, it's important. And there's so, we'll talk separately on the message, because I think that it's a lot to unpack there, but it's important. And you're going to understand that in just a few minutes on which tactic will work best for you.
So you have resources for demographics, so you can figure out age of the home, if there's a woman at home, or how many kids they have, and you guys can actually design that stuff around the program. That's great. So I'm sure there's different goals when it comes to marketing. Like you got to build that around the client, right? I'm not a marketing guy. I know how to do social media because I have people around me that are really good that help me do that. But so what is the goal in your opinion? What is the goal when you sit down with a client? What's the goal of marketing?
The number one goal is to get you introduced to the market, right? So I'll give you a quick branding story. I live in a neighborhood. I'm on a walk with my wife, and there's a 6'2", 95-pound guy with literally orange hair, and his eyebrows are like sewed on, right? They're like knitted, you know? And I'm looking at this individual saying, who is this person, right? Walking in my neighborhood. I've never seen him before. The first time I'd ever seen him. Fast forward 10 days later, I'm in my car. He's in a convertible Mercedes getting ready to go to Publix ahead of me, right? So in my neighborhood, I've seen him for the first time. Now I see, okay, he's in a convertible Mercedes, so he's, he must be successful. He must
do
be
something right.
Yeah, he's not a criminal, right? And so then I see him out on a walk again, and now I've seen him for the third time with my wife, and we wave, he waves. I'm getting to know him. Well, go out another 30 days. This individual is now walking down my street with his dog. We make eye contact, and I have to speak with him because we've made the eye contact. And he says, I've seen your neighborhood, I've seen you in the neighborhood. Hey, I own a landscaping company. I'm wondering if one of my guys can come by and give you an estimate, on your yard. Your yard looks great, but we'd love to, I have a vision for some other things I'd like to do for you. I'd like to get my guys introduced. That sounds great. Good to see you. My name's so-and-so, my name's so-and-so, and off we go. We have now, that's branding, right? That's getting familiar with someone. And someone needs to see you a little bit on a regular basis in different capacities to get to know you, to get to know your brand, to get to know your company, to get to know what your trucks look like, what your people look like.
Culture of your company.
Culture of your company, what people are saying about you. And then, when their AC breaks or their heater is broken and they need to go to someone, and they go on the internet and they're looking and they see your name, someone who they've been seeing for 13 weeks or 26 weeks, it's familiar. And going back to that roulette wheel, instead of spinning the 38 numbers there and hoping your number lands, you're down to red and black, right? You're back to 50.
Gotcha.
So it's important to build your brand, to build the top of the funnel. It doesn't have to be super expensive. Sometimes creativity can make the expense go down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can help you with that. A lot of people can help you with that, but the messaging, is really important. But that's the goal. The goal is to get you introduced to the market. People who they have the money for a new unit, but they don't have the need, or they have the need for the unit, but they don't have the money. But when those two come together, I have a need and I have the money. Who am I going to pick? Who have I been seeing? It's not just the deal. It's really not. I can tell you another story on that. But it's who I know, who I believe, who do I trust, who's going to come into my house, sell me something that's going to cost thousands of dollars that I'm going to live with for the next few years. It's a big deal. It's a relationship, and you have to build that relationship through marketing.
So you're helping with obviously first of mind awareness, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know, there's some numbers I've heard in the past, how many times they have to see you to be first of mind. You do something right, on service or whatever, they tell 1, 2 or 3, 4 people, they do something wrong, they tell 10 to 20, right? So I'm sure there's some metrics in there.
Yeah, there are metrics to that, but we really go back to that first metric on how much of the market do you think you want. So the number in marketing is 2% of 2%, okay? So if we run 100,000 impressions, okay, we can expect 2% of 2% to respond to that.
I see.
So, we run 100,000 impressions, we can expect 2,000, right? That's the first 2%. Then 2% of 2,000 is 40. So if we run 100,000 impressions, we can expect 40 to engage. How many of those 40 are you going to close? Let's say you close 10%. That's 4 deals. That's where we start, right? That's kind of the marketing metrics that we use here. Now, we will tell you those marketing metrics, but I'm never going to put on paper that you're going to get 100,000 impressions, you're going to get 4 leads. That's not, we just tell you the median math that goes with it, and then we kind of back into the A/B testing of the messaging, the right day, the right person, the right offer, right with the deadline, and kind of work on that formula to get close to that. It's been pretty close. We usually get the kind of clicks or the attention that we want based on that formula. How many we close, some of that depends on you, some of that depends on me.
Right.
It just kind of depends. But that's kind of the marketing math that's out there now.
So there's got to be metrics, I'm sure, that companies like yours have on measuring the success. Obviously, you go into a market, you kind of know what the parameters are that will get you the best results, best on the history of marketing. I'm not talking in marketing language now. I'm talking.
Yeah.
I'm a sales guy. I'm not
Yeah.
a marketing guy. But so how do you measure? How do you personally measure success when you make an investment, put the time in, whatever you're doing from a marketing standpoint? How do you measure that success?
I'm different because I don't go off of the number of. I look at clicks. I look at time spent on a page or on an offer. I look at calls and all the regular metrics that are out there on digital where people are justifying the expenditure. I really use one metric, and that's sales. Year-to-year sales. If we sold 25 units in July of 2023, how many did we sell in July of 2022? How much more or less did we spend to get that? But the KPI that I like to use is sales. How did we do? We spent $20,000 this month, and we spent $10,000 this month. Did we get a 3-to-1 return? Did we get $30,000 back?
Gotcha.
That's always our goal. Do we always get that? No. I mean, I can't promise that that's the case. If I could, again, I'd be the only one. I'd be gold, right?
Yes.
I'd be the golden goose, rub
Yeah.
the genie, right?
Right.
3 wishes, 300% awful. But that's what we're after, and that's really what we do. We have to. If you spend $10,000, we want you to make $30,000 back. That's how we approach it. And then to get to that $30,000, we have to back into the number of impressions and the tactics that we use to get to a big number. So that we do 2% of 2% or half of a 0.5% or whatever we might use to get down to that multiple. How are we doing? Is the message resonating? Do they like us? Are they buying from us? Are we closing deals?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That makes sense.